And you've just heard Rear Window by Phillip Jon Taylor with Tender Twin. And I'm delighted to be joined by Phillip now. Hello, Phillip.
Hello.
So tell us about Rear Window and your new solo material.
Well, Rear Window was like a song that I'd kind of just put together here in my studio. I was just kind of, a lot of the new songs are starting with me playing drum beats, and I've been learning to play drums over a period of the last couple of years, just when the pandemic happened, and didn't have access to playing with anyone else, so just started kind of learning to play drums. So a lot of the way the new songs have come around is just from me writing parts and then structuring songs, so they're kind of like A to B finished or whatever, in drum structure, and then going down and then like layering over guitar parts or bass parts and just kind of building things up. So Rear Windows kind of came from that, just like jamming with myself, if that's a thing really, writing with myself. And then I had the finished song, but the chorus, what became the kind of chorus part was, I just didn't have anything for that part, and then kind of started thinking maybe I could send this to someone else and they could hear it with fresh ears, and then maybe even like come up with something on their own, and just kind of make it more of a collaborative thing. So that's what happened. Then I sent it to Tender Twin, and she did her bits on there, and it just came back better than I could have even hoped for. It was really cool.
And is there another album coming from you?
Another album. Well, I've got it's kind of like an EP mini album called Supportive Partner, Please Stand Here, and that's out on May the 6th. Mm-hmm. So I've got a lot of material that I've kind of just been building and working on over the whole kind of last couple of years of me rerouting up to the Highlands again, and just kind of like taking my time with releasing it. And it's nice to have like material done I know is coming, and just kind of take it on my own pace and things like that.
Because you released a solo album, Essential Maintenance, in 2020, and was that a kind of lockdown album? Was that produced through circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, I relocated up to the Highlands from Glasgow to just try and focus on writing and making more work. I didn't feel like I was kind of focusing all my energy on that like I could have been in Glasgow. So up here, my whole goal was to just kind of establish a home studio and then just really get down to making as much work as I could and trying to better my songwriting crafts and hone some like primitive recording skills I picked up. And Essential Maintenance was kind of the first okay, I'll have a bash at playing drums and see what happens sort of thing. So yeah, it was a really fun thing to make, but it's definitely kind of been my goal to just refine and get things better and be better at playing my instruments, and kind of, but that was the starting block for kind of going on my own, doing some stuff. But so I just kind of been building from that. That was the start point.
And you have plans to tour the solo material?
Yeah, definitely. What's kind of interesting about it as well is I want the solo stuff to be able to change to the situation. So I could do solo shows if there's like a show that suits more for that, or I can maybe have stripped down like one or two people playing with me, or a full band. So it's kind of that's the goal, is to have a full band playing these songs with me like they are on these recordings. But it's kind of fun to chop and change them up into different versions for different live settings and stuff like that. But so definitely going to be doing some shows. Playing at the Great Easter on May 21st, so that's going to be amazing. That'll be great. Played my first show properly since before the pandemic and things in Edinburgh for Record Store Day there for Voxbox at St Vincent's Chapel. That was incredible, so I'm really looking forward to going back to Edinburgh already after that. It was such a great day out and experience to play live again.
It's interesting you say that about being kind of more flexible. I've noticed there's a few bands or musicians who are starting to do that. They could play just themselves in a small space, or they can launch the full band version as well. And the songs are kind of adapt. Does that make you reassess the way that you write your songs then, you think, with an eye that they could be played in different ways?
Funnily enough, no, it's kind of like the other way around. Like, because I have this like home studio now where I can really just go, oh, I want this on this track. So play around with loads of different instruments and things to finally get the track that I want. And it can sometimes become a bit busy because it's just me sitting here writing and adding things. Oh, that sounds good. I'll add this on or whatever. And then when it comes to, I've been rehearsing with my friend Lewis a lot, who's been playing drums for me. And we like come in here and then go, okay, like let's try and figure out how we're going to play all these, how who's going to play what and how we're going to recreate this live. And then it ends up being we're structuring the songs for different shows and having different people play different parts depending on the setting. So it's kind of fun. Already these songs aren't even really out, and it's giving them more than one kind of life or something. It's like I like that the definitive version will always be on the recording, but it's kind of like there's multiple versions of it depending on the setting. I kind of like that. So there's like a kind of panoramic view to the songs, almost like there's different sides to the song that you can bring out for the different situations or whatever.
So in a way, instead of having a kind of set band as you did with Pause, it's flexible. You can get different musicians to come in and be the band, even just for one night only. Or
yeah, definitely. It just makes it more kind of I don't know, dynamic or something. But like with Pause, it was very much just centered around my relationship with Josh, the drummer, the way we play together. That was and is the band. Pause are still a band. We're just doing different things right now, but we recorded some music during the first kind of relaxations of lockdown and stuff, and I think they're the best songs we ever wrote or recorded, all kind of done in like an hour kind of sessions in this room. Josh recorded drums, and then he would go back to London, and I would just work away on the rest of it, and then send him the track like a couple of days later. So there's definitely more stuff to come from us as well, but that's going to be even more exciting for me to go back and do after kind of flexing my muscles doing other stuff. Same for him. He's a chef in London, so he's flexing that side of his kind of life just now, which is cool.
I was going to ask you if there was future releases from Pause, but you've kind of answered that. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's funny. I think a lot of people, from when I've been sharing the solo stuff, a lot of people just assume that, oh, that must be the end of that, but not at all. We're just doing different things and looking forward to. We were always talking like about, oh, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that. So I know we're not done with playing music together as of yet. So definitely more to come from that. But just whenever feels. Before it was a lot of, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. So now it's just a little more, let's just do it when we want to do it.
Do you think the situation with lockdown and everything that's happened has kind of changed those kind of expectations? Perhaps you went, well, we need to release this album by this point or this point, and now there's these things have changed.
Yeah, it was a reset, I guess. But I mean, I'd already pushed the reset button before that happened, I think, because I was lucky. I count myself really lucky that through just timing, I just chose to leave Glasgow and kind of start a bit afresh up north, just kind of to try and, like I said before, focus on making work and doing what I loved rather than maybe like going out to the pub too much in Glasgow or being too involved in just touring all the time and not actually just sitting and going, let's make stuff. Right? I feel like there was too much emphasis on like just getting something done and getting it out and doing things. There wasn't as much time put into like, why are we even doing it sort of thing. Always passionate about what we made, but I just wanted some more emphasis on the former rather than all the emphasis being on the like promotion side of like touring and social media expectations. And 'cause we're just a small, Pause a tiny band, but like did loads of crazy stuff just through, I don't know, an amazing small fan base who just are really passionate about it, and we just always felt super lucky about to do anything. So it wasn't like we're some huge band and there's loads of pressure or anything, but the creative element of it was definitely kind of getting a bit hazy there for a minute with like, for me personally anyway, just I wanted to reset and like really think about what I was doing with music because I love it so much. So yeah, I came up here and then the pandemic happened like not long after, so I had the freedom and the space to be up here. I'm living on like a farm in a cottage with no neighbors or anything, so I felt really privileged to have had the space to be able to like record drums and make a noise and learn new things and have like a creative period of complete factory reset. But obviously the complete opposite for Josh, where he or everyone else living in cities that I was hanging out with, and just kind of like, yeah. So it was a strange time.
It is. It's a complete change. Your situation, and then moving down to be a chef in London is
Yeah.
completely opposite. I was going to ask you how kind of making and releasing music has changed over the years you've been doing it, but you've kind of touched on it a little bit.
Sorry, what was that again?
No, just how has it changed? You know, you mentioned kind of the pressure of having to maybe do social media or the expectations of touring all the time and all of those things. Have they changed from when you started?
Definitely. Like, I think a lot of that pressure and expectations definitely from us. Like, we put it on ourselves a lot of the time. I don't know, pause. It just it's a bit of like a blur, just like loads of crazy opportunities we got to do, but we were never like a big band. It was just like we were a small cult band that like a lot of the bands we looked up to responded to it, and that was like quite strange because like your heroes were responding to it, but the general consensus of like their fans, maybe some of them, but not like you'd expect, like bands would expect to go on tour with some big band and then all their fans start loving that band. Pause has always just been this tiny band that just kind of exists over there in the corner loudly. It's not quietly, but yeah, like it's very different. Just I feel like we never expected to get signed or anything like that, daydreamed about it and just like, oh, it was always what if we did this? And then when we did that, it was like, oh, imagine we could do this. Like imagine we released a cassette tape, imagine we released a vinyl, and imagine we went on tour. It just kind of kept going like that. So when you get signed and then you start getting to go and maybe record in studios you wouldn't have gotten to record in, and then work with people you didn't think you would work with, that just all like starts building, and then that's where the expectation comes from. So you start to put that on yourself, going, "Oh, we need to do something that is obviously better than the last thing," and it's who for? Is it for you that you want it to be better for? Is it for the people that have been taking it in? So I'm really not interested in social media and things like that, and I just feel like all of that was starting to affect the way I actually looked at and like took in any form of art. It was all just kind of felt like it was all dependent on this kind of weird digital world of thumbs up, thumbs down, and I just wanted away from that. So I came up here to try and figure out what it was I liked about art.
Well, I think that idea of expectation is really interesting, because the last album was kind of critically well received, and you think, well, was there a pressure you felt, well, whatever we do, we have to be even better than that, or do you retreat as you have done and go, I want to make this for the right reasons and not, to try to tick a box or something like that?
Yeah, yeah. The last Pause album, like. I love that record. I really, really care about that record. But I don't know. There's an element of just like when I listen to Pause, like it's also like sad all the time. And like I listen to it, I'm just like, who's this sad guy? He's so sad all the time. So that was a change in my head. So I moved up here to try and sort that out for a start. And the music and everything else comes part and parcel with like where your brain's at. So in terms of like releasing music and then trying to like live up to expectation, I don't even ever feel like there was like huge expectation on Pause other than from us. Like we were just really, really driven, me and Josh particularly, like just very kind of all or nothing approach to it. So I think that there's just only so long that can kind of go on. So I just factory reset.
Excellent. Well, Philip, thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, no worries. Thank you so much for playing the tunes, and really appreciate it. Love the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And this is Phillip Jon Taylor and Lucky 22.